Ah.
What a great intro. That was the intro. No, that's it. We got it. Thank you. Hello. Welcome to the M&N Show. Welcome back, dare I say, where the M stands for mucho gusto.
The N stands for Nosferatu.
Mucho gusto, Nosferatu.
Ooh.
I see we all have drinks. Let's cheers to this.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Good.
Yeah. Here's to happiness, freedom, and life.
Hey.
Well, welcome back to the M&N Show. This is part 2 of our series on Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812. With us, as always, for this series specifically, is Destiny Taylor. Welcome back. No one to make it clear that they are dating. So no confusion here. They are dating, and I am just a charming man who has no sex, like Pierre. Great segue, am I right? That was a good line. That was a good joke. Don't you roll your eyes.
Did I roll my eyes?
He did.
I know that's the thing I do.
It's okay. I do it too. Well, in part 1, we talked about songs 1 through, I believe, 13. And that was Act 1, obviously. So now we're on to Act 2.
Okay. How would you summarize Act 1, Mitchell?
Should I?
Yeah.
Should you?
Would you like to
Okay.
summarize it?
In case you haven't tuned into our part 1, which you should have, but in case you haven't, in case you're a daredevil who likes to just jump in ass first into podcast parts 1 and 2, there's a woman named Natasha and a man named Pierre, and apparently there's a comet, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to know for part 1.
No.
No, why don't you summarize?
Well, I'm not trying to summarize the plot. I'm just saying, how would you summarize it in your mind? Plots of it.
There is a man named Pierre who's having an existential crisis, living amongst his I'm not done. Who lives in Moscow in 1812 amongst his dysfunctional family and friends, longing for a greater sense of purpose. And adjacent to his story is another story about Natasha, whose husband has just left for war, and she's trying to figure out life without him. And with that comes a lot of hurdles and obstacles, such as Pierre's brother-in-law, who's damn thirsty, and his sister, who's Pierre's wife, who's a slut. So it's the classic intertwined story that comes together at a head in the end. Did I do a good job?
What do you think? What do you think of it?
What do I think of it?
In terms of tone.
What?
What did you think of it in terms of tone?
What are your thoughts, Mitchell?
What are your thoughts?
In terms of tone, as I said, I don't compare it to Hamilton in terms of story. It's just of scope, so it feels epic in the way it's portrayed in some parts, and I liked it overall. We're about a week out since we reviewed it. Well, I mean, since I first listened to it, so I'm a little bit detached from it compared to last week in terms of like immediacy, but I really liked it. And yeah, what did you guys? Well, I know Destiny loves it. What about Noah?
I can't tell whether or not I like the first half or the second half better. I think the first half's just really stressful, but it's like stressful in a good way.
The second half is just as
The second half stressful as fuck.
Yeah.
The first half stressful in like a I get that.
You see what I mean? Like,
Different
you
kinds
don't know
of
what's
songs.
gonna happen. And I feel like in the second half, things happen, and they're happening so quickly that you don't have any time to stress over it.
In the second half?
Second act, yeah.
Mm.
Even though there's like the longest, I think, song in the second half. Isn't the what's it called? The Abduction, the longest song at like 7-something minutes.
I believe it is. I
Like
believe
part,
so.
part one's a lot of stressful setups, and then part two, like the stressful
Abduction-
consequences.
The Abduction sounds like multiple songs though, so it doesn't really. It goes quickly. It's not just like the same thing over and over again. So I don't know. I can't say whether or not I feel like I like both parts equally. And in terms of tone, I guess I would summarize the first half as like really stressful if you're into the story. If you're not into the story, it's very if you're just thinking about the music, it still pretty much portrays a sense of like heightened stress and emotion. So yeah.
Oh. As Philip Franco says, let's just jump into it.
Okay.
Okay.
If you guys know who that is.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank God. Okay, so here we are, Act 2, and we start with letters. And in this song, people write letters. Destiny, care to elaborate?
Yes. Okay. So in 19th century Russia, we write letters, and that's what they're going to do. So basically, Natasha and Pierre, as well as Princess Mary, are all in this little circle of people that are trying to write letters to each other. Pierre is trying to write to Andrey, saying basically, I hope you're doing well. I wish I were fighting in the war and dying. Something about Napoleon. But
Yeah.
with Natasha, she's basically just confused because, as we talked about in Act 1, she's in a bit of a bind with her still having feelings for her fiance Andrey, who's off at war, and Anatole, who is basically at the moment her side piece, and she believes that she loves him. And after Act 1, the last song from Act 1, she says, how else could all of this happen? Because you love me, and therefore that's just what we have to do. And she's currently thinking, should I break it off with Andrey, or should I continue to be with him? Like, and she's dealing with these feelings, and while she's dealing with those feelings, she's trying to write to Princess Mary because Princess Mary is wanting to see her again and talking about how she's lonely and she wants friends, but Natasha doesn't want to see her again. So it's like a three-way.
It's a three-way.
Damn it! It's like this. It's like they're all trying to write letters to each other, and they're all dealing with something. They're struggling with something. And then Anatole comes in, and he just messes things up again. So, you want to elaborate?
And then, of course, they have three-way. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen.
This guy.
I guess. What exactly would you want me to talk about here?
I guess we could also say how Anatole is seen writing these letters, or so we think, that he's writing these letters to Natasha saying that I love you, let's get married.
By the way, Anatole's letter is so bad.
He doesn't know how to write letters.
Also, Anatole didn't write the letter.
It's Dolokhov.
Dolokhov wrote the letter. He said,
I love you, and I'll die for your love, and I love you.
The letter is Natasha, I
will love you or die.
I will love you or die.
You love me, say yes. Yes.
That's the whole letter. Anyway, well, I was just gonna talk about music and the instrumentation, I guess. In terms of the instrumentation, it doesn't really, it's not really much, and I think it's just mainly because the focus of it is the lyrics and what people are saying in this. Um, the instrumentation is basically just, it's really simplistic, just like a bass, um, like a, I don't know if it's, yeah, I would say it's like a acoustic bass going, joo 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 joo. That's just like goes throughout the whole piece.
And then you have ensemble backing up in the background.
Yeah, and that's really the whole piece. But I think it's funny to I want to point out, like, in terms of like character development, really nothing happens with Pierre, but like we have like a little bit of a funny part. At least it's funny to me because Pierre has like a little bit of an Alex Jones moment, and he's like theorizing as to like the nature of like Napoleon in relating it to the Bible, and he's calculated. He said he calculated the number of the beast, and he said it's Napoleon. I don't know where he gets it from, but he has a little bit. It's a little bit of an Alex Jones moment. It just kind of shows you that he has way too much time on his hands.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, this is actually like a foreshadowing moment, because if we think about what happens later in the show and how in the future Napoleon is the one to invade Russia, he's basically calling it. It's like a Simpsons episode. He knows it before it even happens.
It's just funny because it feels like a really like tinfoil hat moment for him. And I feel like that really just summarizes his mental state. Even though it seems like he already had that epiphany that he wants to like get out of the situation he's in, it seems like he's still like slowly, he's not quite out of it yet.
This song, in my opinion, although on the album it seems really simple, it's one of the songs where it's like if you were seeing the production, you would understand, and it would be a lot more interesting. What they do is they all stand around the stage, or wherever they would call the stage at the time, because the stage is everywhere at this point, and they're all basically, what they're doing is they're passing down letters, and they even interact with the audience, passing down letters that they have to pass down to the next person and make sure they reach the ensemble. Or sometimes they write letters and it goes specifically to a member of the ensemble, and you'll get a letter from like Helene or Dolokhov, something like that, or you know what I mean. And during this time, I think it's so interesting how they incorporate things like that. Like, I mean, they didn't, it's not just specifically staged as like it's Pierre, Mary, Natasha, and then a few minutes later it's like, oh, they're gone, and then it's like Anatole and Dolokhov and Helene all like forming their little plot and stuff like that. They're all on the stage, and that's what's really interesting to me. It's a very simple song when you listen to it, but I really feel like it's crucial to what's going to happen next. I feel like it's a great way to start Act 2, and it kind of gets you like your mind going as to like what's going to happen.
I don't know if to me, I like this. I think it's nice, but it's also, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it might be my least favorite song in the musical. But it's not because I think it's bad. It's just that I think it doesn't bring as much to the table as other songs.
Right. Well, I agree.
But of course, it serves a story, because at the end it talks about how Anatole basically
plots
to take her away, and then she agrees, sends a letter back and saying that she agrees with that, and everything like that. But I think it's also really funny seeing Pierre in his state and writing to Andrey and being like basically jealous that he's not in war with him.
And also jealous that he's happy with Natasha, and he split for a split second. He talks about how he's like, she's more beautiful than ever. How I envy you and your happiness. And this is kind of like every now and then you'll hear Pierre talk about like just like a split subtle add-in of like Natasha's gorgeous, and everyone's like, yeah, okay.
I guess that's about all I can say about it. What about you, Mitch?
I mean, yeah, the stuff with the beast, the devil's number, and everything. That was probably the only moment I didn't relate to Pierre in the entire thing. It was pretty off kilter, but it's understandable given where he is. I mean, I hadn't reread the lyrics since I started, so the only notes I had were like, I think everyone writes letters. Like I'm a dick. That was my only note of now. And also, like, I had a note the obsessive love from Natasha, but that was, I think, touched on more another song than the last part. But rereading it, it's like some of the songs. It's sad how Natasha is just like justify. I don't know. She has to just justify her actions to make herself feel better, or even not even making herself feel better. She's just in this weird mind state. Like it leads perfectly into Sonya and Natasha. It's just, I don't know. I do like the transferring from Pierre to Natasha to Anatole in letters. Like, I mean, it signifies how important they are in the culture. But I mean, otherwise, it's not like a song I have multiple thoughts on. And also, Zoom is glitching a lot, so fuck Zoom. That is the thought. Fuck Zoom. But from letters, the setup. Sorry, continue. God, my internet connection is unstable.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
What did you say? I don't know. This is the worst glitch ever. Okay, letters. The setup. We move to Sonya and Natasha. The payoff. Not really the payoff to that setup, but it's a payoff in its own. And in this song, Natasha's revealing to Sonya her relationship with Anatole, I believe. And Sonya does not take it well. Noah, kick it off. Tell me your thoughts.
I kick it off.
Yeah, you kick it up.
So it kind of starts in with Sonya kind of panicked, it seems. In the way that's kind of written, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of like how Sondheim writes, and like the way he writes conversations in terms of like conversations in music. But it starts out with Sonya really panicked, and Sonya's read the letter, but that Anatole had wrote her, and kind of knows of the situation, and and basically it's really chaotic. This song is really chaotic, I would say. There's a chaotic energy to it. There's nothing really of note, I would say, like melodically. It's just a bunch of like panicked singing.
My life.
I'm sorry. Is that am I right though about that? It's a lot of panicked singing about like conversing through song.
This song is a song that I like to avoid. I like to avoid it because I feel bad for Sonya. Well, I also feel bad for Natasha because I understand like what's gonna happen. Huh?
I was just saying I feel bad for Natasha as well, because it just elaborates on my last point. Like, I have no will. My life is his. I'll do anything he wants me to. What can I do? Sonya, what can I do?
I feel so bad. I feel bad for both of them because, like, first of all, yeah, I agree. Like, Natasha is going to go through a bunch of like horrible things in this act. Act 2 is obviously going to be worse than Act 1. But Sonya, she's only trying to help. Sonya has always been her best friend, her closest friend since they were little, and she really tried. She really tried to make sure that nothing happened, and that she stayed on track, and that, you know, she was brought up to be someone that everyone would admire, and everyone does admire her, but things are about to change. And she reads these letters, and she's like, how did I not know that this was happening? How did I let this slip past me? And Natasha is like, if you tell, then we are going to be enemies. I'm not going to trust you anymore. And that's just what's going to happen. and Sonya is obviously emotional throughout this entire song. They're both very emotional and very stressed out. Um, and then Sonya's left to defend herself as well as defend Natasha. But like, what more can she do after this? You know?
Yeah, you really feel for Sonya, I think, in this song. I kind of shows Sonya as a little bit of a, like, I don't know, sister,
Mm.
like a responsible sister character to Natasha. Natasha really is frustrating in this song because she's like, you don't know what love is, and yeah, I don't know. It's really frustrating because it's like she ignores the whole fact that she's basically engaged to marry a dude who's literally fighting in a war. And it's hard to blame her, but it's hard not to be a little bit like, come on, when you're listening to this whole situation. So, um, I would have, as like you really are put in the place of, I think, Sonya in this song, and really feeling frustrated about the situation.
Sonya is like, as we all know, like Sonya is like Natasha's cousin, and Natasha is the young, like, growing into life type of person, and we all see that she's been making a lot of mistakes lately. And in my opinion, I feel like Sonya is like almost a motherly figure at times to Natasha, because whenever I think of the way they interacted, it seems to me like Natasha is listening to Sonya, but she doesn't want to hear what Sonya is saying. Sonya wants what's best for Natasha, and she says, like, if I tell, like, it's what's best for you, and Natasha doesn't want her to tell, obviously, because then she's not going to get the ending that she wants, and she doesn't end up getting the ending that she wants no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. Sonya feels like a cousin, a sister, a mother. Very caring on Natasha. I really like her as a character just because of how good of a person she seems to be or comes off as. Your hashtag Dave was writing. But I mean, this as well. I mean, elaborating on the last point, like songs like this is just like, I mean, like when you know you're wrong, you just go so hard in the defense to make it right. Like you don't know what love is. He said I could break it up if I wanted to. You don't know what love is. Yeah. So, I mean, just I don't know. I mean, that's great as well, and just like leading into Sonya Alone, it's just like you really feel for both characters for different reasons, as we've touched on. But I don't know. I just feel sad reading about this and this whole relationship every time I come back to it. Honestly, besides the fact that Anatole is like a trash bag, human trash. It's just this such an innocent
In this
girl.
moment.
Yeah.
And also, Natasha says she hates Sonya, so that's kind of sad.
And that she's her enemy forever.
Well, that's the classic.
Yeah, and obviously,
I hate you, Mom. Get out of my room.
it does feel
Yeah.
like that. It
Yeah.
does really feel like that.
And then afterwards, you have Natasha. Well, first of all, like, Sonya's like, you haven't refused him, have you? And she's like, maybe I have. And we're talking about Andre, and I feel like it's, I don't know. I mean, this entire song, like, again, it does make me kind of frustrated at Natasha, and I understand. I understand how she's feeling, but I also understand more of what Sonya's going through. And Sonya is constantly being like, you have Andre. Andre is fighting a war, and he'll come back, and then everything's gonna be fine. And she continues to try to, like, tell her that throughout the musical and be like, it's gonna be okay. He'll come back. But immediately after she shouts at Sonya and she leaves the room, she writes to Mary saying that I refuse to be Andre's wife.
So,
It's a great song.
yes.
Pause. Know any other thoughts to elaborate on?
No, I can't really think of anything much. I mean, just the fact that I guess Natasha. I think it's interesting that Natasha says she said I'll do anything for him, or I would do anything. Basically, like she would do anything for him if he asked her to, and it kind of shows you that she doesn't really know what love is, because it's kind of sounds really manipulative, sounds really one sided. So like after she said that was after she said you she when she was singing to Sonya, oh you don't know what love is. I mean, she was just like acting like she knew something about love when you kind of realized that she doesn't really. So
It's also interesting how it was like, what can I do, Sonia? What can I do? Like, it also feels like a cry for help sometimes. Like it's a subliminal message, a cry for help, and she doesn't even realize that she's doing it. It's just like, just hit the depths of this. But that was Sonya Natasha, and now we're going to take Natasha out of the equation, and we're left with Sonya Alone. Just
Oh, I love math.
I love math too. Shout out to Sonya Alone. This is Sonya Alone, and as I've said in part one, songs I've done covers on YouTube before, and songs like this or No One Else or Dust and Ash that I think outside of the context of the musical work the best as songs on their own, because this is just a outright plea of love for her friends and family members, and I think it's beautiful. What do you guys think? You guys think?
This song is this song is so, in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful ballads that I've heard. And it also, I mean, just like No One Else, I feel like Dave Malloy is incredibly gifted at writing ballads and expression and shows the emotion within these songs. Not only just the lyrics, but the instrumentals behind it, and then also him casting the actors who can show off these emotions incredibly well. Um, it's it is so sad to listen to this song, and this is another song that I love to listen to, but I also try to avoid it as much as I can. I mean, I feel like everyone in their life has had a friend where they're like, you shouldn't do this, but I mean, no matter what, I will always love you and support you. It's just difficult because I don't want to watch you continue to do this and then wind up with the expectations that you had just get like completely crushed and get hurt. We don't want that for our friends. We want them to constantly just like be okay. And in this instance, she knows that it's not going to be, and she's trying extremely hard. I mean, especially for Sonya's character to feel this way and to express how she's feeling in these lyrics, and talking about how she'll stand in the dark for her and how she'll protect her, even though Natasha basically screamed I hate, like I hate you to her. It just shows like how amazing of a character she is, and it makes me feel for her and it makes me hurt for her.
Yeah, I think this also.
yeah, what were we gonna say?
I was gonna say, yeah, and I'm comparing it to Hamilton only because, like, for that musical specifically, and it's a major musical for me, and not a musical I keep coming back. This song, as well as Dust and Ashes specifically, feels like the Dear Theodosia moment. And I say that Dear Theodosia is obviously a beautiful song. It's more about the song. But, like, I feel like anyone I've talked to Hamilton with, they talk about how they can't listen to this because it just makes them cry immediately, even if it's for a good reason. And for me, like when I listen to music, I think the best songs are the ones, or the best songs there are, the best songs I try to write are like palpable with emotion, can make you feel the emotion with them rather than just being told about it and make you feel that way. So I mean, when it comes to songs, I tend to embrace those sort of emotions, which is, and also Dear Theodosia works the best outside the context of him, and it's one of my favorite songs. So, I mean, it just has that feeling, and I love songs like those. It's my final point.
I was just gonna say that the person who played Sonya on the soundtrack and the Broadway musical, um, internet is unstable. Um, um, does really well in terms of like portraying her emotion and sort of um, showing the raw emotion of this song. I I don't know. It kind of reminds me of Joni Mitchell for some reason.
Yeah.
Her voice is not the same as Joni Mitchell, but it has some qualities that are similar, if that makes any sense. Because Joni Mitchell, the way she sings, has this quality in her voice where it's like you can really hear the emotion in her voice, and um, you can really feel what she is saying. And for Sonya in this moment, in this ballad, it really, you can feel what she's saying, and you can really feel that like she's a really good and loyal friend. And you also really feel bad for her because she's like having to see Natasha in this state, and like she's having to try to be the stable one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It really reminds me of Joni Mitchell for some reason. And that's just like my impression of it. And honestly, the singer kind of reminds me of that, even though they have very different voices. Sonya has way more of an alto voice, and Joni Mitchell is way more of a, I would say, what, a mezzo soprano or soprano.
Who, Johnny?
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah, but in terms of their quality and the voice, there's the sound of their voice and the way they can portray their emotions, it's very similar to me.
Yes.
Is she the one with like the Blue album or something?
Huh?
I don't know Joni Mitchell well. Does she have like an all blue cover, Blue album, something else?
She wrote that song, I Could Drink a Case of You. There's the one that's has it's the Christmassy song, but it's not exactly a Christmassy song. But I can't remember the name of that song. I wish I had a river that I could skate away on.
Okay.
You know that one? Oh, please, you need to listen to that music. It's so good.
I was just,
Great. Like,
I
I
was
don't know
like,
if she's considered folk, but I consider her as more of a folk singer. She's great at telling stories and great at like portraying emotion within her music.
I'll check her out. I feel like I've seen like she has like a blue cover or something blue. I don't know.
All right, I actually don't. I don't know like much about her discography exactly. I know more about her like some specific songs of hers. But I'm looking at Spotify. I'm trying to look at Spotify. I don't know where it's at. Whatever. I'll ignore it.
Okay. From Sonya Alone, we move to preparations.
Yes.
Preparation.
Zolkov preparing to abduct Natasha. Destiny, I'm gonna give the football of truth to you, and you can speak on it. Whatever that was.
I'll take the football.
Thank you. Protect it. It's my son.
I love this song. It's one of the songs, like, when I first discovered the show, I listened to this song a bunch of times. Like, I listened to it, like, on the car. I listened to it in the car. I listened to it in the shower. Like, anytime. I love listening to the song because it was basically, like, it reminds me of, like, myself, because it reminds me of, like, the anxiety that I kind of go through sometimes. and having to it's so funny. I absolutely just adore this song because first of all, Anatole is someone that doesn't really plan things. He's someone that's like, I'm just gonna take her away and we're gonna get married and it's fine. There's no preparations that really need to be made in the first place. And then we have Dolokhov, who is like inside, he's like freaking out, he's like flipping out, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I feel like if he does this, it's not gonna work and he's gonna get in trouble, he's gonna go to jail. And he continues to tell Anatole, he's like, dude, this is not good, everyone's gonna find out, like you are gonna get caught. And Anatole's like, don't talk like that, don't talk like that, it's all fine, like I will tell you again, I'll tell you the plans. And then it's so funny because I relate to both Anatole and Dolokhov in certain moments because I am one that's kind of like, in a way, I feel like half of me like likes to be spontaneous and like go and do things, but also part of me is like Dolokhov, and I'm like, if we don't have structure or plans, then everything's just gonna fall to shit. So this song is very fun for me to listen to.
Is this a song where basically there's like the string section going? Is it this song? I know this isn't the one where basically. No, this is the really the really like fast paced sort of tempo one.
It's a rap almost.
It's kind of a rap, I guess. Dolokhov is just like talking really quickly in this one. Well, talking really quickly.
He's got bars.
I just love how Dolokhov is just like, oh, I love the part. Okay, I'm reading lyrics right now. I'm just kind of like reliving some of this. This is the part where they go to and fro and to and fro, and then they like harmonize.
Yeah.
There's some like little touches in this song that I love. Like how both Dolokhov and Anatole interact with each other, and how they incorporate like they do in a lot of the songs in here, the actions of describing the actions of what they're doing, and the music.
Yes.
And the part when they go to and fro, they describe they're like walking back, they're pacing back and forth to and fro. Dolokhov starts going to and fro, and then Anatole joins and he goes to and fro and then they start harmonizing sort of, and
it shows the panic that Anatole is slowly starting to have.
Yeah, and the chord they make kind of like heightens the tension because it's not exactly like a really pretty chord. It's kind of like a really contrasting. It's like the notes contrast, and it's really nice. I just love Dolokhov in the song really because he's like so. It takes a lot of stamina, I think, to do this song. I think it does. It takes a lot of like breath, stamina to do this because the tempo is it's just that the whole song, and it makes you really feel stress for the situation.
Again, it kind of shows what Anatole has for him as a character, because you have Anatole, if you listen to the song, if you listen to like the lyrics of like almost any song that he's in, you realize that he never does anything for himself. You realize that he asked Helene to invite Natasha to the ball. He asked Dolokhov to write the letter to Natasha. And then in the lyrics,
right now he's having Dolokhov plan the actual
abduction.
But you
also have Anatole, who's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're joking. Like, you're being mean. Like, I don't understand why you're acting this way. We both agreed that this would be okay. And then Dolokhov is like, I'm telling you the logical side of things, and I'm asking you to think clearly before you decide to go and abduct a human person. And then he's like, I'm here for you, dude. I raised the money for you. Like, you took my money. You took Helene's money. I found the priest. I got the passports and the horses. What have you done? I'm here for you. You're just not thinking clearly. And it really shows how he doesn't do anything for himself. And then Anatole, he slowly gets in his mind, like, maybe this isn't going to work. What am I going to do? Oh my God. It's so funny, the song.
You feel really bad for Dolokhov, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because Dolokov's a little bit of Anatole's keeper, and also you kind of get a vibe of like, okay,
Gaston and LeFou.
You did get a vibe of Gaston and LeFou with them, but it's a little bit more less of the Gaston can do stuff for himself. It's more of the LeFou is the actual like brains behind everything. Like you get that a little bit in the animated movie, but it's a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more. LeFou is like more competent in the live action one. You get more of the live action sort of interpretation of their relationship, and yeah, you feel really bad for Dolokhov, even though Dolokhov was a little bit of a dick for being with Helen.
Helen.
I said Helen. I just now caught that. I was like, wait, why did I say Helen?
We love her.
You know Helen. But yeah, you feel bad because he like basically was being a dick to Pierre, and now you feel, but now you feel bad for him because it's like, shit, his friendship with Anatole kind of sucks.
Like you feel bad for him, but also he's the one that's helping. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to.
Like he doesn't have to do it, but he is doing it, and
it's true.
And he obviously wants the plan to go well for him because he wants Anatole to be happy. Anatole is one of his closest friends, and he obviously, like when he tries to do things for him, he obviously has good intentions for him. But he also realizes, I feel like he's smarter. He's a lot smarter than Anatole, and he's like, you have to understand that. And Natasha's got family. Natasha's got a lot of people on her side, and if things were to go wrong, it would be on you. It wouldn't be on me because you were the one that did it. I just planned it. You were the one that did it. So.
Do you remember? Does anybody remember Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the show, for anybody who hasn't watched it, let me go back. I haven't really watched the show either, but I know like parts of the show. There's these two characters, Mac and Dennis. You kind of get a sense that that Dolokhov is Mac and Anatole's Dennis.
I get that. I don't even watch the show, and I completely understand that.
You were listening to the video I was watching this morning. Yeah, like Dolokhov does basically whatever Anatole says, and like people do ship, and I can see why after like realizing the whole like situation. I can totally see why people would ship Dolokhov and Anatole.
Oh, they kiss on stage.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, they kiss on stage.
Like you really feel like Dolokhov is just kind of like
a simp.
Yeah, a little bit of a simp. But anyway, that's a little bit of a sidetrack. But I'm just like making comparisons that I'm just now realizing, like as we're talking. Please, if anybody actually listens to this or whatever, if anybody listens to this, tell me if you disagree or agree whether or not Dolokhov and Anatole or Mac and Dennis.
Trying to do the other.
But yeah, anyway, I gotta say that I think Dolokhov really. What? Oh, were you talking?
It's fine.
You talk really quietly.
Legit, not mad. Just keep going.
I was about to say, I feel like Dolokhov really shines in this.
Because I love him.
It's so good, and I just love how he plans everything, and then and Anatole's just like basically Dolokhov's like trying to tell him, you can back out now, and then Anatole's just like, nah, it's we're fine. You're fine. We're fine.
I like it because he's like, now listen to me tell it to you one last time. Just listen. They will take you to prison. You will be convicted. You will go to jail. And it's like, I love the fact that he said, already married and you're playing with a little girl. Don't you know? Don't you think? And I think it's so funny because it makes you think like, not only would you have Natasha's family to have to deal with, but you would also have to deal with the family of the wife that you have right now. Like if you were to run away and then you get found out, yeah, you have to deal with her too, and her father who forced you to marry her to begin with. So, but what were you gonna say, Mitchell?
I was just trying to find a character for the other one, and It's Always Sunny. I can only compare Prince Bolkonsky to Danny DeVito. That's as far as I got. But
I want to think about Prince Bolkonsky and be like, all right, fellas. He was like a group of friends.
also, it seems like everyone's going to town.
Elaine is the girl. No, that's not Elaine. That can't be Elaine.
It has to be.
No.
God, D. He's trying to say Helene is D.
Oh, I agree.
I find me. Come on. It's it.
I don't know who Pierre is. Is that Charlie?
No, it's not.
Sorry.
No, it's not. I was just gonna say everyone's going to town of Dolokhov. Like, I did not that much. Like he was just there. It was fine. He's like, all right, this is a mistake. He's like, we're going anyway. Like, all right, let's go. Like, just very ride or die. Wish you.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's a love of you guys. That's all I'm saying.
I really feel like he has a thing for him, really, because honestly, he wouldn't have gone out of his way this much if he didn't think that like he's gaining the admiration of him or something like that. I honestly don't. Like, I really do. I'm pretty convinced on this. All right. Well, I guess that's about all we can talk about on this one.
This number.
And then after this, we
didn't ask if Mitchell had anything else to say.
yeah. What do you have to say, Mitch?
He's just completely ignoring
You
me.
just segue this, Noah. Please, he was taking charge. He was in a flow. Get back into it, Noah.
Trying to flow it. I'm flowing. Okay, so we're going to Balaga, the like most nonsensical song of the show.
Best song ever made.
Honestly, you could take out and really you wouldn't hurt the plot. But also,
Rude.
it's not rude. That's true. You could take it out. It wouldn't hurt the plot. See? Yeah. You could literally say that. You could say
We have to introduce
and the
him
driver.
somehow.
The driver is here, and then literally, they could have just went to Abduction. But I love Balaga. I'm not trying to. That's not me saying I hate it. I think
ridiculous.
They already told you. They said and Balaga is for fun. So okay,
So,
Balaga is for fun.
Yeah, why can't he have fun?
I'm not saying they can't have
song?
fun. I'm just saying I think it's funny that they added this. They're just saying they already said up front. Balaga is for fun.
It's a great song. It's the like most fun song, but like I get what he's saying. Like if Preparations and Abduction is like a series, or in the midway like some weird Wario type adventure. Like it's like I'm in a.
He does remind me of Wario.
It's like I'm sitting in.
It is very Wario.
It's like I'm sitting in a buddy movie with like my jackass partner. We're just like sitting there, like being taken into this like world of Balaga. Like I get what he's saying. That's not knocking how fun it is.
I also think it's cool how like it seems like someone's like playing the spoons or something, and this song is like.
It's supposed to symbolize the horses.
I know, but it's like someone's on the wooden spoons in this song. Someone wrote in like use wooden spoons. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't really say confidently whether or not they're using wooden spoons, but it sounds very similar to wooden spoons. And I love the fun hey Balaga ho Balaga hey Balaga.
This is from the book.
What?
Balaga. Balaga basically like running people over and destroying
He ran people over like multiple
times. It's so
times.
funny. Like he did that in the book.
And I love how Balaga is like, let me sit. Like he didn't say this, but it's like it feels like he's like let me sit you down and tell you my tale of my my misdeeds.
This is also the song where Anatole and like Dolokhov make out. Which
Is this
so funny.
song?
Yeah, this is I think one of them because like during Balaga's like rampage, he starts like full on. They start like making out, and honestly, like gay rights, we love it. So this is a fun song. This song and the song that's about to happen. Like I feel like it's like a roller coaster of emotions. It's like a troika. The way that he drives it, it's like
This one I believe, if I remember correctly, has like a heavy use of like guitar in it, and like. It's not rocky, but it's like acoustic, and it's like really like
Dolokhov plays it.
Yeah, Dolokhov plays the guitar, and yeah, it's really fun. It's really like this one has a lot like a heavy use of like the people in the background. Hey, and building off of the Hey Balaga, Ho Balaga, that part.
Everyone's on the stage.
It's very much a sing-along song for the crowd, I would say, because you get into it, it's really simplistic and like how it goes, but it's also really addictive to sing.
The amount of times there's a video on YouTube that's like how many times the names from the show are said, and Balaga takes up like a lot of it.
Even though he's like nothing from if you were going off of one of those videos, you would think Balaga was a main character.
Was the main character, but he's just for fun.
He's just for fun.
Balaga. I wish I had an uncle, like a family member like Balaga, but I feel like I am the Balaga of the family.
Look, we're all the Balaga.
Please, I really encourage anybody who's just listening to this without listening to the musical, at least listen to Balaga from this musical because it's so funny. He just kind of says Conan at did he say 12 miles an hour? What was it? Like it was something like insanely slow. Yeah, 12 miles an hour. Which also was kind of fast back then, so
yeah,
for a horse. But
yeah.
Looking at it today,
because a troika can go that fast to begin with, but he still managed to hit people with it. So.
I was gonna ask, like, first of all, you said Anatole and Dolokhov made out, and like when that registered, I asked why, and that came right after gay rights, so that came off wrong.
Why?
Why?
Mitch.
Gay rights.
Why did that? Was that in the play? Because I missed that. Like, just wanted to elaborate on that because that was a poorly timed.
So, like, I know she'll elaborate on this more, but there's like a bunch of shit going on in the background in this stage production.
In this version? In this song right here. The song?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna get more wine. You go explain a little bit more.
Okay. He can't do this sober, guys. But so for this song, it's very much like again, it's a very fun song, very high, high energy type of song. The ensemble's on stage doing this like really cool dance, and they're like on, just having funsies and stuff like that. And it's this song. There's not a lot to really say about this song. If you were there in the audience, you would obviously have more fun because you're just like, yeah, Balaga. But now when you're listening to it by yourself and you're just like, oh yeah, Balaga, why? why? So
it doesn't matter when you're in the audience.
When you're in the audience, it's like you're having a lot of fun. They're like coming down the aisles and they're like dancing, and it's so fun. Yeah. It's just not a lot to talk about when you haven't seen it.
I just meant, why are they making out? Like, were they just like this crazy thing in the background? No, I keep saying why. I don't mean why. Why. I'm saying
why.
That reading it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of just times when people just randomly make out, and that's we just love that. The next song has another make out. We love it. We love to see it.
Helene makes out with someone that you wouldn't expect.
There's sexual.
Everyone here is a slut.
I know. especially Helene.
Really, like Helene says she's a slut, but really the only person who's not a slut in this is Pierre.
It's true. And Andrey, honestly.
Because he's
Yeah, and
fighting
Andre, he's out in
busy fighting for his life and his country.
He doesn't have an opportunity to be a slut.
He didn't have the opportunity to be a hoe. Well, yeah, and Mary. So those three are the only people that didn't hoe around.
He's like Jesus. He sacrificed himself for the others.
Really, yeah. Except he's also.
Really, Andre's like Jesus Christ.
We'll get on Andre being a dick later on, but also,
Ugh.
I think he's a dick.
Okay.
He is.
That's all I can say about Balaga, really. And I don't know, really, if we could say anything else about Balaga.
Yeah.
It's Balaga.
What did you think about it, Mitch?
As I said, it just felt like a weird scene from a buddy comedy, which is like this weird watching life happen. A surreal moment. Like it was. It was cool, but I don't know.
They make you feel. They make like a lot of the songs have a Russian feel to them.
Yeah.
So like, props to Mr. Malloy. I'm gonna say Mr. Malloy instead of Dave Malloy. I said it so many times last time. Dave. Props to him because it like even in the most frivolous song in there, it kind of has a little bit of a Russian feel to it. You know, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Balaga. That's my TED Talk. Okay.
I love it.
So we're on to the next track.
Abduction.
Coming in at 12 miles an hour
Abduction.
to the Abduction.
Yes.
This is a long ass song.
Taking the reins on this one. These are the reins.
Okay, you just took it. Take it.
Call back because it's Balaga. It's horse reins. You get it. First of all, the abduction. You know where Anatole abducts or tries to abduct Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it seemed like just like a side note, it seemed like Anatole was saying goodbye to only prostitutes and old lovers. Like he had no one else to say goodbye to. So that was very on character. Very sad. Like. Goodbye, dear. Goodbye, lover. Goodbye, womanizer. Alley.
That word.
He's talking about the G word.
Yeah, we can't see the G word.
Yeah, they do say the G word in this. We can't say that, can we? We can't. I'm not going to say it.
Talking about. Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
By my.
Oh. Right. Yeah.
Just because we do not want to offend people.
Now I have a question. Did Dave Malloy get flack?
I actually am not sure. I'm unsure of this question.
Because I understand that it's not really right to say that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who are like Greek and different ethnicities were called that.
Yes.
Back in the past.
It's definitely
it's more of a derogatory racial sort of slur.
I mean, Russian.
I don't know the answer to that question.
I was a transfer student from my high school for like 1 year was Russian, so I've heard the take on the G or that the history with the. That's what I meant.
But yes, I think in this song, he very much on character says goodbye to his lovers, and I think it's funny because it's just like there's nothing really sincere. I mean, he's sincere about saying goodbye, but there's nothing really heartfelt. He seems very much like like what's up, goodbye.
Well, the main thing I want to touch on was that I don't know if you guys noticed, but something stuck with me. So I mean, they talked about how I think it was Dolokhov said you just need to take the fur cloak, cover her with it, get her out, and that's how it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, fur cloak is like it's like it's that, but like no spoilers if you're gonna talk about it, but like within like the second song, Pierre, as we're like watching Pierre, like we're having a send off for him. There was this where he's like, I'm trying to put on my fur coat, but unable to put on the sleeve. So it kind of felt like a connection. It's like I feel like the fur cloak was an entrapment in like a metaphorical sense, and Pierre seemed free of that by the end. So I don't know if that was meant to happen, but or that was
Really caught that. I'll have to-
felt like a callback to being free from what you're trapped
Huh. Huh. That's really interesting. I wonder if that was actually intentional. We'll have to talk about that whenever we get to that song. That's a good song.
I like the song.
Huh?
I like the song.
No, he's talking about whenever Pierre's leaving the room from talking to Natasha.
Okay.
by.
And
It's
it's
a
really
callback
good,
to
that really cute part.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so this song feels like multiple songs. It's a mix of Anatole singing this waltzy the goodbye song and basically saying goodbye to everybody and his lovers. Very sort of jaunty in the way it feels really kind of like jaunty. I don't know.
Jaunty.
It feels very like not serious, very happy, like a happy goodbye. And then Anatole, it gets into basically the whole party part.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite part. And Pierre, by the way, does not know that he is eloping with Natasha. Pierre is totally, he doesn't know. He doesn't know right now.
Eloping.
He doesn't know that
He knows in the last song.
Yeah, no,
But he doesn't. And he doesn't know it's Natasha.
He doesn't know that he's eloping with Natasha specifically.
Right.
So he's all like happy, like, oh yeah, good for you, man. Wish it could be you, you know, like he did in the last song.
It's like I wish I could have 2 wives.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. Even though like the one wife he has, he's had so much marital problems. Like you would think he would want to not be. You want to be away from that, but Pierre is I don't know. He just wishes he was someone else.
Yes.
And so we get into the party song, which sounds very similar to me. It sounds very similar to the duel.
Okay.
What do you think? Does it sound similar to the duel to you?
I mean, I can get
the party portion of it.
I can definitely see where you're coming from. I think that this song is so it's so out there. It's so like it's so grand, better than the duel. I feel like everything that's happening is. I feel like this is one of the best songs in this album. I feel like it's nice to have everyone on the stage again, just surrounding each other and just partying. Basically, it's basically just like the duel, except there's something else that's going to happen. It's a different outcome. I think with Pierre being drunk and not really knowing what the hell is going on, I feel like it adds more to it because he's like, yeah, we love it. What are we cheering for? What's happening?
He just says, nonsense.
He's basically just like, here's the happiness, freedom, and life. And then he's like, Naposo Shek by Kali. And then he's like, basically just like everyone. What's so nice is that he's basically it's including everyone in the ensemble as well as the audience, and it's really for anyone to sing along to it. Like all you have to do is sing Balaga. But here it's like if you sing something, if they sing something on stage, you can easily sing it back because they're asking you to. And I think it's so beautiful. I feel like again, like what you said earlier with the fur cloak, this is so funny because if you don't think about it, it just sounds like Dolokhov is freaking out over nothing. Like when I first listened to it, I was just like, yeah, he's just being Dolokhov. But he's like, hey, where's the fur cloak? Because if you don't have that, you can't abduct her properly, because she's gonna be like, you know what, I kind of changed my mind, I don't want to do this, and then she walks away. What are you gonna do? You can't really like carry her unless you've got the fur cloak. Boom.
He said that he basically wasn't his that she would freeze in the cold.
Yes, and then she's like, I have to go back.
Yeah.
It's a tradition,
Which is that's a tradition, but also I think it's funny that like Anatole. I don't know. I feel like it's really funny that Anatole is portrayed as like being one for tradition as well, because he in the middle of them cheering and come on, let's go. Anatole's like, wait, shut the door. And it's just funny to me because I feel like what Anatole is doing is totally against tradition.
Yeah.
Yet he's trying to do the most traditional thing.
It's so funny.
They're trying to stick to the tradition, even though he's like breaking up a engagement. So that's kind of funny and kind of hypocritical and makes you laugh. Balaga makes a short appearance in the song.
So
because he's the Troika driver.
He's just there. It's fun.
They love that. Whenever they're driving.
Can we talk about the fact that like when Anatole says like wait, shut the door? This is when Maria, Sonya, and I think Helene at the time. No, it's just Maria and Sonya. They leave. They go have a quick change because they all have like these weird costumes on, and it's really pretty. But they go and have a quick change, and this is like really a long time for them to quick change. Like they obviously can't just like because I don't know why. But anyway, so Anatole holds this for about like a minute, and he's just sitting there, and he's just like, close the door. And we're all just sitting there, and we're all just like, okay, door shut. What now? So it's really funny because like it even shows then like it shows like, on his part that he's not prepared, but it's honestly just a way to have the actors go and do their quick change to go into the outfits for the next scene.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. I love this song so much. It's like it's so brilliantly created and composed. I love it.
By the way, we need to be foreshadowed the fact that Helene had made out with another
Helene.
person.
Yes, Helene definitely does make out with someone, as it's in her nature. She's a slut. She makes out with Maria on top of the stairs. And if you watch the 2017 Tony Award performance, you will see that happen. And it's in full screen. And it's the greatest thing that I've ever seen, and it makes me happy.
But just so people aren't confused, though, I don't believe it's the person who's playing Maria. I don't think she plays Maria in this portion, because if she was playing Maria, that wouldn't make any sense. She's like playing a random person in the pub.
See, I didn't really think that, but I mean, I always thought that it was just the characters, and for some reason they're there. But I also see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably what it is.
But yeah, I know you really want to ship them. You're like, I really want to ship them also.
Dang.
But yeah, that part actually does happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that in the Tony Award performance of this. I really love the fact that I really love how Pierre is just like mostly drunk through this song. By the way, through that part.
When is he not drunk? That's the
I
issue.
I know that's the issue, and it's just really funny to me. Oh, they were gonna say something, but then all right, we get to the next part. They're in the Troika. They're singing Balaga, and they're at the gate at this point.
Yes.
And basically, Sonya had let the family know.
I feel like
that this is gonna happen. So they were already posted, and I love the part with Maria D. So like, where she basically gets out and she's like, You will not enter my house, scoundrel. I love her voice, by the way. She somehow sings in a way that sounds like she's growling without like damaging her voice. I don't know. Presumably, I hope she didn't damage her voice in this because it sounds like a difficult thing to do. Yeah, I just love Maria D in this part. You kind of picture her with a shotgun, even though she doesn't have a shotgun. But yeah. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I like the noise that's made as soon as betrayed happens. Well, as soon as the way that it sounds, as soon as like Anatole is stopped by her, it's like this weird, like abrupt, like weird clashiness, and then immediately betrayed. It's like you can hear the strings like just being absolutely just like violently aggressive, like the way that it's played. It sounds so
really chaotic.
It's very chaotic. You didn't think that the abduction or the duel was chaotic, or even Balaga. That moment right there will put you right in your just put you right in your place, and you're just like, oh god, ugh. And thankfully, they were able to flee before Mario like came downstairs and just like beat the crap out of them. But like,
I really feel like that.
The way she looks in the show and how she's portrayed, she could easily take on both of them. And that's what I just love her as a character. Introduce the next song if you're done, Mitchell.
And I also love Mario, so now I'm done. Psych. Okay, whatever. Okay, that was Abduction, and now in my house, which I will start by.
This is the one. Sorry.
No, you better be. Coward. I don't know. Not really. Okay. All I was going to say was I love Mari's character. She's great. The beginning's really mean. Shameless, good for nothing, vile, shameless girl, dirty, nasty wench, horrid girl, hussy. A little much. A little much.
She's hurt. She's hurt. How, like, I mean, when you think about it, it's like at the beginning of the show, she's like, oh, you're my favorite. You're my goddaughter. Nothing's going to happen to you. I believe that you are so good. And then all of a sudden she finds out this happens, and she, like, comes outside and she sees Anatole and Dolokhov, like, hello.
Oh, no.
And she's like, oh, my God.
Too much. Too mean.
It is a little bit much. But she's like, how could you, and the thing is that when she says a nice girl, very nice, it's like she's like, a nice girl, I thought you were nice, I thought you were this person, but not. And she's like, you horrid girl, hussy. It's lucky for him that he escaped, but I'll find him. I'll find him.
Like she's gonna kill him.
I thought she's gonna kill Natasha.
No.
I want to pull up I'm pulling up this because I really want to listen to the. Here, you keep talking.
What were you gonna say, Mitchell?
I mean, that was the main thing for the beginning, and then I guess the song ends on Natasha just not sleeping or weeping, just staring at the window, waiting. Like, fuck. But also, like, it's very sad, very relatable, but also really conveys how insecure a person she really is. Coupled also, with Maria fucking tearing her down.
Maria does the person who played Maria does a really good job of like yelling and also singing.
Grace McLean, we really love you.
We stand.
Where we get that? Sorry.
I feel so bad for all three of them. Like, I feel for Natasha because she's like, she thinks that this is what she should do. She thinks what she's doing is right. She's like, if it's love, then it's love. And then Sonya goes and she tells Maria. And then, and obviously Sonya snitched, so she's going to get the stitch. And so she's like, Sonya, why would you do this? Why did you interfere? What is wrong with you? And obviously, like, she's gonna have issues with Natasha because of this. And then Maria, she's like, why would you do this? And if Sonya didn't tell Maria, then obviously, like, Maria would be just as upset, and things would still end up like being the way that it is. But but the way that she talked to Maria at times, like, you know, talking about like, who already tell me anything? Like, he's better than any of you. And she's got this like image of him in her mind when literally the good people that are in her life are before her trying to tell her like, you did something stupid and you need to be accountable for it. You need to hold yourself accountable for the things that you almost did. And basically they tried their best, and again, obviously Natasha's not going to listen. It's going in one ear and out the other, and she's like, go away, just leave me alone, I want to be alone. And what I think is nice at the end of the song is another instance where Natasha is talking about herself instead of saying, I was not asleep, my face was pale. It was like Natasha was not asleep, her face was pale. And every time a character refers to themselves as like an out of body type of thing, I know that something's about to happen. And it makes you wonder like what's gonna happen. I caught on to that as soon as I listened to it. I was like, why do they refer to themselves as a different person when it's them that's singing it? And then you figure out what happens and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Also, like their delivery at the end is just like, it goes from being really loud to being really soft.
Yeah.
Because you realize that Natasha's just like really sad in this moment and really broken.
When Natasha, like the way she sings Natasha at the end of it, and then she's like, and she sees her and how she throws herself down on the sofa and she's like, Natalia, and she goes by her first name. And then how she puts the quilt over her and she gives her water and lets her sleep. In the stage production, basically, Sonya wants to be there for her because she's like, this is my job, I have to be there for her and make sure she's okay. But Mario's like, I'm not gonna let you bother her, she's fine, just let her sleep right now, she's asleep. And then the way, because she said let her sleep twice, well, let her sleep. And then Sonya goes to try to open the door and she's like, let her sleep, because it's just gonna make things worse. So it's a really thought out song, in my opinion.
Also, it's really, you feel bad for Sonya too, because it feels like
she can't do anything.
She can't do anything. She feels really powerless, and she's like trying to help Natasha. She wants her to come close to her, and Natasha basically blows her off. So yeah, it's really emotional song.
Yes.
The instrumentals like make it feel like things are falling apart. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels really, they do really well with like underlying. There's a lot of stuff going on with this song, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely encourage listening to that one. Except it's like also, it's very draining whenever you listen to the whole music. So it's also, it's not something you would listen to all the time, but it's great.
I agree. And links to all the songs are going to be in the description. So if what we're saying, all along, vape along with us.
What?
Vape along. Dakota.
Vape along?
Hey, Balaga.
Well, I said the songs in the description, so if you want to check them out, if you're intrigued by what we say about it, they'll be there. And then I just made it like Cody Comet. Ropes. It's like, well, guys, if you're vaping at home along with us, like
You're 50, Nick.
I have puff bar.
60, Nick. Okay, anyway. Okay, so next song on the list is, drum roll, please. Drum roll. There you go. Okay, wow. It is A Call to Pierre.
Ring, ring. Who's there?
Good.
Maria.
This is good because this is the one where the instrumentals I keep on talking about, I think.
No.
I think we passed that one.
No, it's that one's coming up. I know my musicals.
You know we're musical.
I know. Well, I know for this is when he says, "What?"
Oh, the vocal delivery from Pierre.
What?
Um,
I only know.
the vocal performance from Josh Groban on this is very good. Maria is still like,
Who's Dave? He hates Dave.
I haven't listened to that one as much.
Sorry, continue.
Be nice to me. Hey Dave, your vocal performance was great.
Nope,
as
he's already
well.
said it.
Okay, I didn't. It's not like I
He's allowed to be good. Okay, he's not. He's not just the milfs. He's not just a man of the milfs. He's a man by himself. You raised
This
me
is like
up.
a really
I'll name the song. Sorry.
basically. So in this song, Mario D calls Pierre, and Pierre is somewhat of the fixer type guy in this situation. He's a family friend of theirs,
Yes.
and I don't know. And I don't know if anybody's ever watched Pulp Fiction. For some reason, Pierre in this part reminds me of the dude who's called to fix things. I think they call him the Wolf or something in Pulp Fiction. Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, we saw it together.
Anyone? Okay, we saw it together. Remember the part where the dude comes by after they killed the guy accidentally in their car? Sorry if there's any spoilers.
Yeah.
They killed the guy in their car accidentally, and they call him just to fix the situation. I don't know why, but Pierre reminds me of that person. For them, like they fucked up, and so he has to come by and fix it.
It's like, ring, ring. Who's there? It's Maria. Things are shit right now. Pierre's like, okay. It's so like, you can tell in the way that the song is delivered on both ends, that you can tell like at first who is more interested in it. Of course, with Pierre, he's constantly drunk, so he's like, this is like 3 a.m. Why are you calling me? Why did you write to me? What's going on? I have to get out of bed and walk over to this lady's house and talk with her. And she's basically just like, oh my god, everyone stay calm. And then he's just like,
this isn't a phone call now I think about it. This is a letter because they don't have phones back then. But it feels like a phone call.
It feels like a phone call. It feels like when you listen to it, it's like, what's going on? Where have you been? Oh, we need your help. And then he's just like, what? And that's so funny. It's so funny to me. The way she talks about Natasha is so funny. She's like, Natasha's let down the family. She broke up with Andre. She's trying to elope. And then she's like, it's your brother-in-law's fault, you dingus. And he's like, oh shit. So funny. I can't say enough how funny the song is, because Pierre is like slowly sobering up, and like and Maria is like just absolutely just like flipping her shit, and it's
yeah. I think Maria's performance in this is really good too. The part where she sings, "There's ruin at the door." She's like basically
her range.
That part's really good. But yeah, Pierre has to now deal with this shit.
She's like, let me take this boulder and put it on you.
His shit family by marriage.
By marriage. Her shit family.
Pierre's shit family by marriage.
Pierre's shit family by marriage.
So now he has to deal with it. That's really the sum of the song. I think the focus of it is really, I don't know, the vocal. You have to have a really good. If you're doing a production of this, you have to have a really good Maria and a really good Pierre. Otherwise, when you get to this song, I think things just fall apart.
There are 3 vocally demanding roles for this show, and it's Maria, Mary, and Maria, Mary, and maybe Sonya. I feel Maria is very much someone that like you can like you have to express how strict of a character she is, and I feel like Grace McLean is the one person that can easily show everyone she's either pissed or she's like pissed. I like the part in the song where Pierre says, well, we all know that Pierre is a simp. He's a simp for Natasha. We all know this. He's very much like, I love her. I like the part when he goes, Natasha, that charming girl, I can't believe that she would do that. And then he's like, huh, so I'm not the only man that's chained to a bad woman. So it's so funny because like for the entirety of the album, you hear Pierre like, dang it, I wish I could be like Andrey, fight in the war and just die, and I wish I could be like Andrey and have a wife or just be happy. And then all of a sudden he's like, we both are not happy. Heck yeah. It's so funny. And he's like, oh wait, they're gonna lock him up. And that's when they all find out basically that Anatole is indeed a married man. And the way that Maria says, oh wait till I'll tell her, it's so mischievous and it's so matter-of-factly. Like I feel like as soon as it's not shown that she basically like confronts Natasha and she's like, guess what, you're wrong, he's married. Like, but I feel like in my mind that's what happened. I feel like she's like the matter-of-factly like, I told you so, this shouldn't have happened, you shouldn't have done that shit, you're bad. Like I love these characters so much because like when you like when you listen to it more than once, you kind of stand and like the emotion expressed and you kind of imagine like what actually happens. And seeing the shows is even greater. So what else would you like to add to that?
Nothing really. I can't really think of anything. Yeah, I think that's the thing that he said.
She tells him that you are going to go to Anatole and you will tell him that he is to leave Russia and you will not, like, do not let me see him again. Do not let me see him again. And she's like, okay. And he's like, oh, okay, good. Like, he is very much like this kind of shy man, like this weak, frail, gentle-hearted soul. And if someone like Maria comes along, she's just like, if you do this, and he's like, okay, yeah, fine, okay. And I feel like it gives him the courage to do what he does next.
Yeah. And what's next is Find Anatole. That's the next song.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mitchell?
What do you think? Oh, you need to start it out now.
Well, first of all, I'm just rethinking this. Anatole's an idiot more than like a purely evil person, which I think it speaks. I think maybe that's why Philip and Tasha is just they're both very over their heads. They're very innocent. They're not innocent. They're just innocent in age, not acting, in that they don't really understand the capacity of what they're feeling, what they're doing. So I feel like in a lot of ways that is Anatole. Like he's like he barely even realizes like, oh, I'm abducting a woman. Oh, I'm married already. What? Fuck. What? And then like, so that I wanted to say that first. Well, so like the notes I have for this, like, again, Anatole and Fran are suggested to have an incestuous relationship, and it just makes sense. Like, I don't know.
It does make sense.
There's just like siblings. It's like these people, siblings. Like, we get it. Like, there's no hiding that. But also, I think it's funny, which I don't know if this was on purpose or like a reference to how people feel, but I've always joked I don't like music that much because it's just people singing what they're doing, and the last two lines are literally, Anatole followed his usual jaunty step, but his face betrayed anxiety. Pierre closed the door to address him, looking at him, which is like, is Dave being coy right now? Are you shouting out to people like me, literally singing their actions right now. So I that's fun. Like I feel like he's being cheeky. And I don't like it.
I
Expect it, but I don't like it because he's trying to call me out or something.
I love this song. This song is like when Pierre finally has like he feels like he has nothing left, so he's completely changed as a person. I believe. I believe that this is right before he completely just has a transformation in his personality.
Wait, what?
So well, I want to start off with at the fact that like he says, Anatole, find Anatole. We're trying to find him. The blood rushes to my heart. It's difficult to breathe. In this situation, he is in his study, which is where the orchestra pit is. He walks up the stairs. He basically, he kind of like jogs up the stairs, and then he basically just like has his hand on his heart, and he's like, oh my God, I cannot breathe. And it's so funny because it's like, it's like, it shows his character like how difficult it is and how inactive he is. And also he's drunk. So it's kind of just like he's inactive. He's unable to run without getting without losing breath, without having breath left over. And what's funny is that even though Pierre, I'm sure, because Pierre and Andrey are very good friends, they've been great friends. And even though Natasha basically like broke his heart, Pierre goes to the bar to try to find Anatole, and everyone's like, "Oh, is it true Natasha's ruined? Is it true that like that this person tried to blah blah blah?" And everyone's like gossiping, and Pierre's like, "No, nothing's fine. Like nothing happened. Everything's fine." So
He
like
sings in a really
he's like everything's
happy tone.
fine. Yeah.
Nonsense.
I think that it's so it shows again how nice of a character he is. Like he's very much someone like he didn't have to. He could have easily just been like, yeah, Natasha's ruined. Yeah, she completely wrecked everything. But no, he was like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Don't talk about that. It's all good. And then we have, of course, how he finds Helene and Anatole. He goes into his house. He goes basically. The funny thing is that he leaves Maria's house after being in his house, and he's like, I gotta find Anatole. He goes to the bar first, and I'm just like, why would you go to the bar? Just go back to your house. It's 3 a.m. Most likely he's there at your house with your sister. Like, I mean, with your wife. So of course, he circles back and he goes home. And of course, Helene is being that like, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's okay, Anatole. You'll find her. You just have to wait a little bit. It's okay. And then Helene's like, it's my husband. Huh? You don't understand what Anatole's been through. And then he's just like, shut up. He's like, stop talking at once. You are repulsive. And the music just goes quiet.
It's
in the
so
way
good.
And it's almost like he's just speaking it, and it's so beautiful. Like, because it's finally like this, of course, is him being kind of like rude, but when you think about it, Helene has been rude to him all of their marriage, so it's at this point you're just kind of like, go Pierre, heck yeah, we love to see that. Woo. But I love what you said about Anatole and how he's like, Anatole followed with his usual jaunty step. He's like, he's like, yay, I'm gonna go talk with Pierre. What's gonna happen?
He does not expect that because Pierre's like so nice.
He's like, nothing's
like,
gonna happen.
Gives him 50 rubles all the time.
He's like, give me money.
And like, so obviously, like, it shows you how people expect him.
Yeah.
Good job. And good job for making a very base level assessment.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's also really interesting because Anatole is also really, he actually somewhat had feelings for Natasha more than you realize too, which was kind of interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I did not realize.
It was that Anatole cared for her.
Yeah, yeah, because he's actually really anxious. He says,
he's like, I have to see her.
I need to see Natasha, and like,
it makes you think like, so this isn't a booty call. He actually might love her.
Yeah, it almost makes you think that he like really was looking for real love,
Hmm.
and he doesn't really know how to find real love, so he uses normal player moves to try to get real love, even though that's not really how you do it. um, but yeah, so at that moment you kind of pity Anatole, really. For me at least, I pity Anatole, even though I pity him. I don't really feel for him, but I also kind of pity him because it's like dude does not know how to like really like he's been stuck in this marriage and he doesn't really know what real love is. Kind of the same way Natasha is, but in a like somewhat different way as well. So yeah, yeah. I guess that leads to our next song. Mitch, you want to say anything else?
I just want to say that our next song is Pierre and Anatole, or they talk and fight, and yeah,
And Pierre goes Hulk smash.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
a little bad boy.
Yeah.
I love to see it. So for this song, basically, it's almost as if like Pierre is confronting a child, in my opinion. Like he's like, you said that you were going to do this.
Like his teenage son or something.
Yeah, yeah, and then Anatole's like, and freaking out over it, and I agree. This is definitely where he starts getting more aggressive within the song. He picks him up physically in the show, and depending on the Pierre, there is a Pierre that will physically lift him up out of his seat and like shake him that way.
Talking about Oak, aren't you?
We're talking about Oak from Hamilton. He played Hercules Mulligan. But most of the time, you just have Josh Groban or Dave Malloy who just like, you know, pick him by the collar and then shake him that way. Oak just picks him up, and then like just like it's effortless, and his little legs, like Anatole's tiny little legs, just like shake, and it's so.
Looks like Woody.
He looks like Woody. I love the way that. First of all, Anatole immediately, the way he talks to Pierre, you're right. He definitely believes that like he can get by and talk to Pierre in certain way. He can talk to Pierre in a certain way. That's almost sarcastic. That's almost condescending. And he thinks that like Pierre is used to it, so he can get by. And then basically Anatole says, I don't consider myself bound to answer questions to you when you talk to me that way. And then Pierre is just like, and he's like ready to fight. He's ready to punch him. He's like, when I tell you that I must talk to you, I will talk to you. And then Anatole's like, shit. Let's not don't do this. And he's definitely like trying to backpedal and everything. And Pierre goes out and just like completely just like insults him, tries to like beat him up.
Didn't he have? He says in the one part, he says, "You're a scoundrel and a blogger," and what doesn't he says?
Deprive me of the pleasure of taking this and beating you with it. He takes a paperweight, like a full-on heavy paperweight, and just like
he's ready to
he's
beat
like ready
him.
to just like smash it. But then he's just like he puts it back. And we're all just like sitting on the edge of our seats. We're just like, is he gonna kill him? Is he gonna kill this dude? But of course, you know, he is, spoiler, he doesn't kill him. But he's like, did you promise to marry this girl? And he's like, I didn't. I just said I would. And he's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna be violent. Immediately after shaking him and then threatening to beat his head in with a paperweight. So I don't know. This shows like a completely different side of Pierre, and I love it. I love that he's finally having the confidence within himself to confront someone and talk to someone with that, like, that tone and with that, that confidence. He's like, I will get respect. I will get respect. And I absolutely love that. And it's what we've all been wanting
It feels
this
a little bit like a
entire
turning
show.
point
Yes.
for the character.
It's right before he has like this epiphany, in my opinion. And we've seen that he's had a lot of epiphanies, but this one is a big one, in my opinion. I feel like once he figured out that, like, he's only one that's kind of unhappy and he's not the only one that's dealing with issues, I think he finally breaks through that barrier and he's just like, I'm not really that much different than Andre or maybe a lot of other people, and he's just like, I have to confront Anatole and I have to be this person, and I absolutely love that for him. I love that.
Yeah. The confrontation is gratifying. It really feels
Yes.
like his character is coming to a head. And I mean, whether or not he truly does love Natalia, either way. It's good to see him confront someone like that. And as I said before, Anatole comes off like you pity him in the last song. Comes off like an idiot in terms of how innocent, like in terms of like he doesn't even fucking know what he's doing. But also like towards the end, where like he doesn't take any. He doesn't let Pierre talk to him like that. He never takes responsibility for what he's done. And then like, after Pierre's like, if you require money, and then he said Anatole smiled, the reflection of that face and cringing smile, which Pierre knew so well in his life. That made me feel like, well, maybe he's not so innocent. And whether it's just a reaction to having control over Pierre, it does feel like he really does know what he's doing and gets his jollies off on controlling people. So it's kind of at that point, he had, in some ways he seems innocent and pitiful in terms of how little he knows, and then in parts like this one, or where he's like blocking Natasha's path and grabbing her arm and hurting her hand just to kiss her. Like, well, maybe this guy knows what he's fucking doing. He's not a good at all. And it's like, all right, you can go.
Kind of interesting because you're kind of left with an ambiguity on like who Anatole really is, and you feel like he's manipulative, and he certainly is, but also you feel like in some sense that he also was trying to actually, he wants to get out of his situation, but it's sad because he can't really, he's stuck married with this person, and I mean they're all, you feel a sense of like everybody's somewhat unhappy in this musical, and that's sort of like a, I don't know, motif, I don't know, like the fact that everybody has their own sort of unhappiness and their own things in their life that torture them, and nobody really knows how to find happiness exactly, I think is somewhat of a theme in this. And that's certainly a theme with Anatole. And sometimes you feel sometimes you kind of like feel for him. I wouldn't say I wouldn't go as far as to say empathize, because he's a really terrible person, but also sometimes you kind of feel for the fact that he's someone who got lost. Like you feel like at one point in his life he was redeemable, and now it's like he's totally lost as a person. So
what I like about this song is, and even before, yeah, I definitely feel, I feel for Anatole in a way, even though we all agree that we have to dislike his character due to the things that he's caused and that, and his immature nature. But when Anatole and Pierre are talking about, well, Pierre basically says, you have to leave. Like Maria says, you have to leave. You have to leave. So after getting the letters that Natasha wrote Anatole and gives Pierre the letters, he's like, I will dispose of these. Like, you're not going to have them. You are going to leave town. You are going to leave Moscow. You are not going to come back. And Anatole's like, how can I leave? And this is because, first of all, the abduction was a fail. So he had 10,000 rubles that he'd taken from his sister, another 10,000. So it's 20,000 rubles that he took from both him, his sister, and also Dolokhov. And that was wasted on, passport horse, Balaga, whatever. Like it wasted all of that money. So he basically has nothing, and he continues taking money from Pierre throughout the show. So at this point, he's like, I have no money. I cannot leave town. And it shows again, just like he's helpless. He cannot do anything for himself. He has to figure out how to leave Moscow. And basically, even then, you have like Pierre has to help him. Like he can't really do it for himself. And it makes me feel bad for him, because maybe his character is like he was basically, he had to grow up and rely on others for like his entire life, but now all of a sudden he has to just get up and leave, and he has no one at this point. Like he can't stay with his sister. Like I don't really know. Like he can't stay. He has to leave. He has to leave town. And it does make me feel bad for him, because obviously, like, he reminds me of a kid, and he's basically being exiled, and it makes me feel for him a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot,
but
like
a little bit.
A little bit.
I really wish we kind of had that moment for Helene also in this. Oh, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying, I agree with Noah. It does a good job of ambiguity of his character. You just keep going back and forth, and I feel about him. You can't really tell what. I don't know.
I really wish we had more. I wish we had more of that sense with Helene. To be honest, we don't ever get a moment where we sort of see a moment of. The only time we ever really see a moment of what's it called?
We see
What's
it.
You don't ever really see a moment of
like what's gonna happen between them.
Like emotion, like what, like them feeling helpless, or them feeling. You don't really see that moment with Helene quite often, or really at all, except for the part with whenever Pierre yells at her. But like you don't ever see a moment in which like she sort of reflects on her situation, kind of like with Anatole, where he's like freaking out about the fact that he needs to find Natasha, and a moment that makes you think like, oh well, did he actually love her? You don't ever get that sort of sense with Helene, which is really makes me upset, because I kind of really wanted that.
I believe that you do. When you look back in Act 1, when you see the duel and how Dolokhov is about to shoot Pierre, she screams. She obviously.
But I'm saying you don't really see it in the music, I guess.
Because there's not really. This makes me upset too. I love Helene as a character, and I love her in the book. I love Helene. So when there's confrontation, I wish that they kind of had that too. Helene is normally used to like going over for charming and inviting Natasha to the ball or marks and stuff like that. But there are a couple of times in the show where she does show her emotion. When Dolokhov is about to shoot Pierre and the gun goes off, she does not want Pierre to get shot. And maybe it's because in her heart, deep down, maybe deep down, she does indeed care for him. At the end of the day, she cares about him. And then everyone treats Pierre a certain way because they feel like they can get by with it. When he comes in and he's like, be quiet, and he tells like Helene to just basically just stop talking, she does, and she looks just like so surprised. And I wish there were more instances where you could see that. I wish there were more instances where you could just like if there was more confrontation, if there was more dialogue between her and Pierre, as well as maybe her and Anatole after this happened. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, I guess it's that'd be my only like thing I really wish happened in this, is that there's a little bit more, like you said, a little bit more of a exploration of Helene herself. rather than she's a little bit more used as a plot device, like to move things along. And I think whenever you like, I don't know, I feel like I feel like Helene is a little bit more of an interesting character. So that's the one thing I would say that we never really get a moment like that, like Anatole had with Helene. So yeah, I guess it's I'm done with this song. What about you, Mitch? Are you not done?
I'm sorry, I'm not done talking. This song is so important. I feel like Anatole, the way that basically he's being confronted, and he's being confronted with not only violence and aggression, but also with intelligence. And Anatole, in my opinion, he's smart, but he has street smarts. He does not have book smarts. And I feel like you can easily decipher who has street smarts in the show and who has book smarts. Obviously Pierre has book smarts. And Anatole being like, well, I don't know about that. I don't know that, and I don't want to. This is an opportunity for him to listen to what Pierre has to say and better himself as a person and to learn from his mistakes. But no, he doesn't want to. Just like Natasha, he doesn't want to hear things that he doesn't want to hear. Like, he doesn't listen. He goes through one ear and out the other. And basically, he tries to turn it around on Pierre and say, you should take back what you said. You know, if you want me to do what you want me to do. And Pierre was like, fine. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll take it back and ask you to forgive me for what I said. And gives him money. Again, gives him money. And
he has to, though. I mean, there's nothing else.
There's no other way to do it. You know, he already lost 20,000 rubles. He can't raise any more money with the time he's got to leave town. While we're talking about this, or reflection of the bass and his cringing smile, which Pierre knew so well in his wife. So this is one of the instances, there's a couple times where this is said throughout the show, where Pierre looks at someone and sees someone else. And most of the time he's just like, he's like uncomfortable by it. And Pierre, it was revolting to Pierre when he looked at Anatole and he had like that sly type of smile that's like, yeah, you have to apologize to me. Make sure you do that, or else I'm not going to do what you want me to do. And has that smile. It's like, you know. And Pierre's just like, ugh, God. Also during this time, as this is being said, Natasha is on the stage and she's drinking poison. She's trying to die. She wants to die. She's plotting for death. And that's something that we should take notice of, or else, you know, the next song we kind of introduce it and everyone's confused as to
doesn't really make sense.
Why she's sick. Like, what happened? During the show, when you watch the show and you're sitting in there and you're watching Natasha drink the poison, I think it's so cool. They have like this robotic noise. You'll hear it when you listen to the song. But there's like this robotic like error 404 type of like crashing computer noise. And I think of it like she takes it and it's like completely just completely destroying her. And that's what I love about the compositions for this musical. I feel like Dave Malloy knew exactly the type of sounds that he wanted to symbolize and to emote this type of this feeling and what's happening. So then we have Anatole leaving. He goes to St. Petersburg.
He was a very high note.
Yes, the very, very high note that like it's so beautiful. He definitely like did that. He the thing about it though is that he didn't like what's so great about Lucas Steele playing Anatole is that he has this gorgeous range of a tenor voice, maybe even countertenor. Like, it's beautiful. And when he holds this note, first of all, it wasn't written in the show. So for him to just randomly be like, for Petersburg, and he sings that note, and everyone's just like, oh my God.
I wish
like,
I knew more of the story behind that.
He's fantastic. There's a coffee table book if you guys want to like look into it. It's really cool. But anyways, yes, he leaves for Petersburg. He doesn't go too far from Russia for some reason. Like I would completely leave Russia. But he's like, you know what? I know where I'll go. Petersburg. Why? It's a great way to end the song. This is where Anatole leaves, period. You do not see him for the remainder of the show. This is his dramatic exit. He entered the show with a dramatic entrance. He definitely made his entrances and exits like
Spurs.
well known. You knew he was there and you knew he was leaving. And that's what I love about the show. And I'm done. I'm sorry.
Well, you're good.
And this one is Natasha Very The next song we're going to is called Natasha Very Ill, of course. I just want to see your reaction. That's what I on a YouTube comment, someone was like, me, an intellectual, Natasha Very 3.
It does look like the Roman numerals, yes.
So this is like really heartbreaking for Sonya. This song is. Well, he really is like a mainly just a Sonya song. It's really short, but basically she's frantic about the whole situation with Natasha. She tried to poison herself, which is really bad.
First of all, can you imagine your best friend going through all of that hurt that she went through, and she's like, I'm going to protect you. And also what we don't know is that Sonya falls asleep outside of Natasha's door, holding the letters, making sure that Natasha does not escape. So she falls asleep at the door of Natasha's room. So she does all of that. And she's like, I'm going to protect you. You are going to be okay. I will make sure of it. And then she finds out Natasha poisoned herself. Can you imagine? I would not be able to live with myself. It's almost like, do you feel worried about Natasha in this part of the show? Do you like worry for her? Of course you worry a little bit, but you also just like, the song is sung by Sonya, so you're just like, she's going through so much shit right now, and you're just like, you feel more bad. In my opinion, I feel more bad for Sonya for going through all that stuff, and then all of a sudden she's like, my friend's gonna die. Then Natasha, who like dramatically tried to Romeo and Juliet and being like, well, if I can't have him, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, pretty much. And also I was about to say, like, this song is like so beautiful for how sad it is.
Yes.
It's really, like, if I remember correctly, in the background, the main thing you hear is piano.
Yes.
It's really soft. And I don't know if they intentionally did the piano for the fact that the song is about Natasha. Mm-hmm. And I remember I talked about last time, a lot of times when Natasha is singing, there's piano used, but in this one there's just really piano and Sonya singing.
Yes.
She sings really soft, and it's almost, you feel like Sonya is in shock.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't really think of the gravity of the situation, even though she's describing like what happened.
I feel like she's numb at this point.
She's really numb to what's happening. Yeah. And I feel like you get a sense of that because she's singing everything really soft and calm, even though like she's saying that, you know, Natasha drank a bit of arsenic. Like that's not nothing.
Like, I feel, well, first of all, Sonya's voice is very calm and gentle to begin with. So for her to have this delivery, it
makes it more worrisome, honestly.
It hurts you. Yeah, I felt that hurt. I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't like listening to this song because I feel so bad for her. But when you think of it, I think it's kind of like a parallel to whenever you were in school and you were a little kid and then you throw up and then you go to your mom and you're just like, Mom, I threw up. Like, I feel like that's pretty much the song in a summary. It's like, Mom, I threw up. Please take me to the hospital. This song is so beautiful, but not only do you feel worried, you're just absolutely just like anxious out of your mind. If you don't have anxiety from the last words and you hear, we wait for Andrey to return, so we wait with dread, you're obviously like, no, have him stay there. Like, I don't want him to come. Like, why come back now? Right now. I feel bad for all of them at this point, because Andrey is coming back, and Andrey, if you remember Act 1 and how we talked about Prince Bolkonsky or his father, they're played by the same actor, so it's very nice to see how similar these characters are, and they are obviously similar because they're played by the same character. But anyway, you're almost afraid as to see as Andrey matures from going into the war. You wonder what he's going to be like and how he's going to react to the situation when he comes home. So, what do you have to say, Mitchell?
You guys summed it up pretty well. I mean, it's basically an interlude, if anything. It describes what happens, which moves it into Pierre meeting Andrey again in the next song. First time Andrey's actually in the play. So, in terms of Natasha Very Ill, I don't have much to say. Just very sad for any perspective you want to take on it, Natasha. Personal. I do have more to say though. On the following, Pierre and Andrey. Because if you guys are ready to move on to that.
That's great.
Yes.
Yes.
I love it. Yes. I love it.
I thought you were gonna say, I have one more thing to say.
Pierre and Andrey.
That's what I heard.
3 words: Pierre and Andrey. So Andrey is the unseen force, puppet master, if you will, from afar. He finally comes back to the war. Pierre's like, "What's up, man?" And Andrey's like, "Hey, been a while." He's like, "Yeah, it has." And then So, I mean, at this point, Andrey returns from the war, and Andrey learns from the letters of her lead for Anatole. You don't know where that's just happened to Anatole. And I mean, the main note I wanted to say is, I used to feel bad for Andrey because, he's off fighting the war in France, and he's not even aware or fully able to react or respond to anything happening in the play. It's just like all happening to him. And I still do it in some ways, but it's like at this point he seems very sullen, very jaded, very just like, yeah, I'm going back to the war. I got nothing else in a sense. But also it's like Pierre mentions Natasha trying to kill herself, and he's like smiling. Like he's happy God based on how she treated him or what happened, which, after feeling bad for like an hour and a half for this guy, and he's like happy she almost died, I'm like, well, okay, well, my perspective's changed on you. And then draws Pierre and goes,
back to
tell me how to react or whatever. I don't know.
It also, I think it's interesting because on one of the parts they I think they compare his smile to his father, Prince Bolkonsky. I think that's because that part in general just kind of reminds me of like
it makes me
like
uncomfortable
and reminds me of that of Bolkonsky, and it reminds you of like the fact that he actually doesn't seem to be all that different from him as a person in actuality, even though like he's been brought up to be, even though like this whole musical he like basically presented as an awesome person.
Yeah.
And then you realize he's not that great of a person.
And you realize like the person he's most likely going to become.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna break the song down.
Sure.
No, you broke it.
I broke it. What do I do? But so first, we have the reunion that we've all been looking for, and it's not Andrey and Natasha. No, it is Andrey and Pierre, the best friend duo that we love to see. Obviously these two have been apart from each other for a long time, and it makes me sound like I'm talking about a couple, but they are really close friends, so it's really nice to see them interact with each other. After Pierre talking about Andrey for a majority of the show, if he's not talking about like how stupid Anatole is or talking about how pretty Natasha is, it's talking about his best friend Anatole. I mean, not Anatole, Andrey. So what's really nice about this is that they have a little interaction of where it's like they joke around. They're like, "Hey, buddy, yeah, you're fat," and then Pierre's like, "Oh, you're old," and Andrey starts off and he's like, "I've been away too long," and it's true. Like, had he not gone to war, I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened. I mean, it might have, but it wouldn't have happened. And then he says there's a war going on, and this is so nice to hear because well, not really, but it's really nice to hear that he says that, because for the majority of the prologue, we hear there's a war going on out there and Andrey's not here, but there's a war going on and he is right there in Moscow with Pierre. So it's nice again that he is reunited with his best friend. He is basically meeting with him to discuss not only what's been going on in his life, but as well as he wants to be confirmed whether or not what he's heard going on is true. So he doesn't know too much about the situation until he goes to Pierre and he's like, "I heard that your brother-in-law basically tried to abduct her. Can you confirm this for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, kind of." And then immediately he's just like, "Here's my letters to her. Just give them back. I don't want them." Because she would obviously send him letters while he was fighting, and he's just like, "I don't want to look at them. Here you go. I don't want these anymore." And again, Pierre's like, she tried to drink poison and die. She's been at death's door. She's very sick, and he's like, I regret that. And it's almost as if it's forceful. Like, it's very forcefully to be said. Like, "I much regret her illness." Like, he's clenched. Like, he obviously cares for her. He loved her. He was with her for a year. And also with the time that he was away, he was basically, technically still with her. So obviously he has a lot of love for this woman. And then she goes and she basically refuses his marriage and betrays him. And he doesn't know what to do. He's feeling more hurt than anything. And he's just like, I feel bad for her, but like, how can I when she did that to me? She did this to her. He's basically almost saying that she did it to herself. And again, what he said, I feel like whenever he said, "and he smiled like his father, coldly, maliciously," it's so, Dave Malloy is such a genius for writing things like this. It gives you an insight into who Andrey is going to be when he grows up. He's basically lost the love of his life, and so what's he going to do now? Probably turn into his father, because he's going to be the prince eventually when Prince Bolkonsky passes away, which will be very soon because this dude's crazy and old. But basically it's like a parallel, and it's going to be almost like a loop of situation. It's nice seeing the difference, the contrasting qualities that Pierre and Andrey have. With Pierre saying, "You should forgive her. You always said that, like, if someone's injured or hurt, you should always forgive them for their actions." And Andrei's like, "I didn't say that I could forgive someone, and I can't." And when you think of a reunion between two close friends, like if I were to see Mitchell after him being in St. Louis during this whole global pandemic going on, I'd obviously be extremely excited to see him. But in a way, I feel like as we go out throughout the song, Andrey could care less if he was hanging out with Pierre. I think he wanted to have the news confirmed that he had been betrayed, and then he wanted to be on his way and just go off and do his own thing. And although I respect him for, I understand his reasoning as to why he wants to just basically be on his own for a little bit as he was betrayed by Natasha. The way he speaks to Pierre is condescending, and it's almost as if like an older brother and a younger brother interacting with each other, and how in the show he's like, I can't be that person to forgive someone, forgive her. If you want to be my friend, and what he does is he grabs Pierre by the collar and he says, you will never speak of that again. And it's so aggressive. But in the show, in the song and on the physical album, he says, just never speak of that again. And it's so soft. And so it makes you think like you can tell that he's really hurt. But what changed it for me was that he picked Pierre up by the collar and he was like, you will never speak of that again. And he drops him and he's like, oh, bye. And he just leaves. And so after all that time of Andrey being gone, it's kind of like a parallel to Anatole. Andrey leaves, and we all notice that this guy's gone. But later on throughout the show, we kind of forget him. Unlike Anatole, he's constantly there, and he's the center of the attention. But when Andrey leaves, you know he's left, and he's gone again. So the two men that were formerly Natasha's lovers and were previously in her life, they're now just gone. And that's the last time you see them.
Yeah. Anything to add, Noah?
I'm just going to say just a little observation that I feel like this song, this from Natasha Very Ill on to the end, and other portions of the musical feel really like romantic, and like the way the instrumentation is kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe I should save this for the end, but I just really want to say it while I'm thinking of it. It kind of reminds me of like reminds me a little bit of like Chopin, but also reminds me a little bit of like the music in like what's it called, like Studio Ghibli films, like, and how like it just feels really romantic, and even when it's sad, it feels very like beautiful and sweet. Yeah. So I just want to say that this whole portion kind of screams that to me too. So
interesting.
Which will take us into the next song.
Okay.
That's what you think.
Also, excellent breakdown, Dustin. Thank you. And
Thank
excellent
you.
observation, Noah. And excellent manning the reins of this podcast, Mitchell. And for the
Yes.
thank you. For the second to final song, nearing the end of this probably 5 to 6 hour saga that is Natasha, Pierre, and the Routine 12 M&N Show podcast, episode 4. Pierre Natasha, where Pierre goes to visit Natasha after he kind of closes the door with Andrey and everything's said and done. And I mean, the main two things I have to say, as I said, when the fur coat was mentioned around the abduction, the Golkoff said make sure to wrap the coat around Natasha and then get out of there. And towards the end, Pierre's talking about not being able to find the sleeves of his fur coat. Finally, feels like Pierre is free from these toxic people, actually finding some joy in life through Natasha and just from the beauty of a door closing. Like, I feel like that was a cool callback, whether or not it was meant to be. I believe it was. You know, hashtag Dave Malone. Am I right? But also, oh, sorry, I just have one more thing to add. Then feel free to break down because you're good at it. I would say my favorite part of the song, this is Pierre talking to Natasha. I'm trying to get these lyrics. Hold on. You got to be prepared for this. They're talking, they're rehashing about whether Anatole is a good person. They're Andrey feeling like love has passed by, I fucked everything up. And in the middle, where the hell is it? The music stops and it's just Pierre talking and saying, if I were not myself, but the brightest, handsomest, best man on earth, and if I were free, I would get down on my knees and ask you for your hand and for your love. And it's just Josh Groban talking and singing. And I thought that was absolutely just the starkness of the lack of music. I feel like that is one of the most beautiful.
It's the only time during the show, it's the only lines that are spoken, just spoken, no music. Everything in this show, there's no dialogue where, like most musicals, where you have like a song and then you have like a scene, a song and then a scene, or things like that. This show is sung through. And so when you finally get If I Were Not Myself, and he just goes about it, and you can just tell the emotion. First of all, the song itself and the instrumentals are so, it doesn't sound sad, it doesn't sound happy, it's just like this melancholy, bittersweet type of moment that they're having between each other. And it's Natasha's going obviously through the worst of the worst she's felt. She's at an all-time low in this moment, and she feels like she feels like she ruined everything. And then Pierre is to speak that way to her, and I feel like it's the first time that she's truly been spoken to, where I feel like this is the first time she feels like she should believe it. When Anatole speaks to her and she's like, "It's my fault you're enchanting," it's almost as if he's trying to put the blame on her, and she's like, well, I mean, if I enchant him, you know what I mean? But when Pierre, he's just like, if I weren't the way that I am, where he's blaming himself instead of blaming her, he's like, I would ask you for your hand and for your love. And she just all she does is she continues to cry. And this time she's not crying because she's upset. It's crying because she feels grateful and she feels happy. She feels hopeful. Not really happy, but she feels hopeful, and she's looking forward to what's to happen next. And she leaves the room smiling. And the thing about it though is that I love Pierre, and I love the parallel to the fur cloak in the Abduction that Dolokhov and Pierre have. However, in my opinion, I feel like I don't know. I think I feel like it's so funny watching this like grown man walking down from the drawing room that Natasha was in and everything, where they meet, and he's fumbling to like put his like arms in his sleeves. He's just like, oh shit, and he's trying to like put on his coat to leave, and he's just so overwhelmed with what just happened that he can't put on his coat. And I think that it shows, like, I feel like it shows more of his like dorky personality, like a sensitive type of being that's just, I don't know. This entire song is beautiful, and I know it's not like a full song that, like, in my opinion, it adds to it, but it's not like how songs were in this act, and how they like added to the plot, because in the end, obviously, if we're going off of the book, and if you know what happens in the book, you know that Pierre and Natasha are to get married, and they eventually have kids together, and they find love. Finally, they find love. But Dave didn't want that to be in the show. He didn't want them to get married. It wasn't the main focus of the show. And I think it's beautiful that they finally had this moment together for because they haven't been together, Natasha and Pierre, for a long time. So for him to for them to finally, I don't know, just meet and that's how it goes. I feel like they're both just hopeful and they're waiting to see what's going to happen next in their life. And it makes me so happy. Like I don't have to watch them get together. I don't need to. It's not a necessity for me. I feel like we know what's going to happen. We know. And it's nice to know that it's going to happen even though we don't watch it. And I don't know. This song makes me extremely like I don't know. It makes me feel something that I can't explain. As well as the next song. The next song is just as beautiful. I can't talk anymore. I can't really explain. Like it's just like this feeling that's just so like beautiful. It's overwhelming to me, but in a good way. It's like a feeling that you've always wanted to feel in your life. And yeah, it's beautiful.
I was gonna say, this portion of the song is like, or this song is like probably one of the more simplistic in terms of like instrumentation, but it's also one of the more beautiful, I would say, like the piano and and how it underlines their first time ever really meeting, and the sweetness of it is really nice. It's really nice. It's you really feel happy for Pierre in this song because I feel like this is the only part of the musical in which he's like actually happy and sort of actually has completed. I mean, you see that a little bit more in the next song, but you kind of feel like he's completed
I feel like he did his
his
job.
journey. You know, he's completed his like whole. He wanted to get better, and now it seems like he's getting better.
What's nice is that you're not only watching again, I will say that I feel like this is a roller coaster ride. I feel like you're not only watching Natasha's journey, but you're watching Pierre. And I feel more so you're watching Pierre's journey because other than that, like you wouldn't have Natasha singing the last song. Natasha is all of them, like the entire cast is in the final song, but it's Pierre that's the main focus. And I I don't know. It's nice to watch this man go from being so depressed to where he feels like he can't go anywhere besides go to the club, or go to the bar, and I feel it's go to the club. I feel like it's so refreshing to see Pierre finally just feel like he's able he's questioning where can he go, but I feel like this is the first time he's ever questioned it. I feel like this is the first time he's ever really wanted to know what's going to happen next in his life. I feel like before, I feel like he didn't care. When you listen to the way he talks about himself, he always talks about how he envies people's happiness and how he wishes that he could be with Natasha or be like Andre and fight for the things that he's passionate about, or even die in the war. He at this point, I feel like he doesn't care whether he lives or dies. And then you finally see him happy. And it's not full on happiness, but it's like this tiny, it's like almost as if you have like just a newfound love for life. And that's what I love about
Me too. Unless you guys have anything to add, transition beautifully to the final song. Great comment of April. Noah, kick it off. Kick that football out of the end zone. Final song. You got this.
This is like a really like calm and romantic sort of piece to me. It's nice because it makes you feel like Pierre is just like sort of thinking. There's nothing happening really. There really isn't anything happening. It is just Pierre basically thinking as he's walking and thinking about that interaction, thinking about what it means. And he basically says, you know, mankind seems so pitiful. I'm reading the lyrics. Mankind seems so pitiful, so poor, compared to that soft and grateful last glance she gave to me through her tears. and I feel like he's like realizing that, you know, there's something more to life than what he's been living, and it's really great. It's really great to see that. Of course, this is the only part in which the comet makes an appearance.
The cameo of the comet.
And but
Yeah, that was the main
the
character.
cameo, the great
Surprise.
the comet, of course, is played by Danny DeVito, the incomparable Danny DeVito. He was great in his performance of the comet.
I love it.
I'm kidding, of course.
Dave Malloy in a bad.
That'd be great. I really wish they had that. They have him floating in the sky, like. Anyway, and when it gets close to the end, like close to the end, you know, it's talking about like this comment, and like it seems like that's like a big deal, but he's not seeing it as much as a big deal. I mean, like he's everybody else, you know, would be freaking out at this thing, and he's not, because he feels like it's a sign of things
To come.
to
Things
come
are
for
gonna
him,
happen.
like good things to come.
I'm gonna go ahead and just take the mic here.
Take it.
So I feel that I don't like listening to this song as much as I love the show. I know, like when I introduced this show to Noah, we avoided listening to the last song forever, and it hurts because I know that the show is about to end. I don't like knowing that a beautiful show like this isn't still here on being shown, or like people experiencing it for themselves, and interacting with the cast and doing things like this. Is so creative, this is so beautiful, and so just like out there. The show is incredible, and the fact that it's not here anymore, and it is heartbreaking to me. So I like to avoid this song, but it's also one of my favorite songs in the show, and it's so, I feel like you can feel the same feeling. You almost feel the same way that Pierre is feeling right now. You're going through all of this, and then all of a sudden, you know that he's had a breakthrough. You know that he's finally broke down all of the feelings that he had before, and he's wanting to just start over. And we know that we've seen that from him in Dust and Ashes. He's like, I want to wake up. I don't want to die like this, and he doesn't. Obviously, he has a new outlook on the way things are in life, and he's like, I pity mankind, because someone like her, I've never met someone like her. And it's basically just, I feel like it's so beautiful to hear, as well as when he says like opening to my eyes, and things like that, and how he's finally like found the love that he's been wanting this entire time. And then we also are starting to realize that it's going to be between those two, and it makes us extremely happy because it's what we were wanting. The chorus in most of the songs where Pierre is singing and having like this little moment to himself is so beautiful. It sounds like heaven. It sounds like the earth just like split open, and then you're just like standing around like the middle of the earth. And I think it's so strong, and it's very overwhelming. I can't listen to this song without crying, and it's so beautiful. I can't stop saying how beautiful the show is, because it's truly just amazing. I love again how it says the comet said to portend untold horrors in the end of the world, and that's what a lot of the Russians thought during that time period. They see a comet and they're just like, we're all gonna die, and in a way it's kind of true, because it leads to the fact that Napoleon is about to invade Russia, and Pierre is standing there and he's just smiling and he's crying, and he's just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's just gonna happen. And he gazes joyfully, And I love the ending because the blossoming into a new life is in the book. And this lyric to me is so, so beautiful because you realize that for yourself, that Pierre has finally found himself as well as the path that he wants to take. Um, he's finally, in a way, he's woken up and he's changed into the person that he is right now, and who the person he's going to be in the future. Um, if you want to know what happened to the cast of the show, if you don't want to read the book, which is completely fine because it's a long book. I read it. It was incredibly long. I would go on YouTube and look up The Great Comet and what happened to the characters, because it shows you basically what happened and they will reenact what happened. So anyway, it's a beautiful way to end the show. I don't think I've ever seen a show that has ended so magnificently. I couldn't ask for a better way to end it. And even after it ended, I still wish that it didn't. I wish that I could continue just like it, and that's why I listen to it so much, is because I never want it to end. The ending song is just like a perfect closure that you just don't want the story to end. And I love it.
Well, for me, um, I had read a little bit of the backstory on the show, and of course, I mean, to me, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know the history, I mean, the war going on is, France invading Russia, and I believe I at first thought it was. I didn't know if there was an actual comet. I figured if there, it was just like to the Moscow fires of 12, which is when they burn Russia. They burn Moscow down before Napoleon can reach and invade the city, which just sets them back even further. So I don't know if that's an illusion or if there's an actual comet, because I know, like in the story, everyone thought they were going to die in the comet as Destiny. I mean, overall, I didn't have the same overwhelming emotional reaction to Destiny. Of course, since one of the cool, and I'm just like a new listener. No matter if it's fire or comet, I do like the idea of rebirth. I mean, for Pierre, and like it just seems like finally in a place of peace, even in such like a uncharted territory for the people of Russia. It's a nice juxtaposition, and I fully relate to him throughout the play. So like, it's good. It's good to see him with peace of mind moving forward for himself and for this hinted at love with Natasha, and kind of make you hope you find that for yourself as well. That's me.
I want to add, right before like I'm done, I want to add that the comet per se, I know everyone's probably thinking, what the hell is the comet? When is it going to make its appearance? And it definitely does. The comet, if you look up the way that the stage is set, you will see a bunch of lamps, and they have like scattered light bulbs everywhere, and it is so beautiful. And it's not used until basically the part where they all say, it's when the chorus, as well as, Pierre, like the chorus is basically saying, and they're in the middle above, I basically, like, they're saying, surrounded and sprinkled on all sides by stars shines the great comet of 1812, the brilliant comet of 1812. And that's when the music stops, and that's another just like glorious moment. And all of the lamps, like they're everywhere, they light up, and it the comet's there and everyone's reacting to it, and Pierre is just like, yeah. Here we go. I absolutely loved it. Love it. And that's what I have to say.
Wow. That was Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Khan of 1812. That was our take. That was a 5-hour take if you put it all together. I hope somebody watched it back to back so we can feel like this was warranted. But either way, it was. It was a very nice album. And thank you, Destiny, for bringing it to the table and for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you.
Also, happy birthday to Destiny.
What?
Her birthday's coming up. Happy birthday to her.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the time this posts, it might be the day after her birthday. So either way, this is the day before right now.
Well, no, her birthday's on Friday, so this will be before her birthday.
Yeah, so tomorrow I will be exactly 21 years old. So I'm drinking illegally right now. Don't.
Cheers to that on camera, drinking illegally.
Oh, dang.
Call the cops.
We're gonna find you.
Call the cops. I dare you. Anyone out there, I dare you. Call the cops.
Do it. Do it. I'll do
I
it.
dare you.
But
Thank you, Mitchell.
for being on, of course. Thank you, Noah, for being my co-host as always. And
You're welcome.
that's it from
As
us.
always. Thank
What?
you for being my co-host.
Please stay tuned. More episodes in the future. These usually air on Wednesdays, or they usually air on Thursdays. These will air on Saturdays because we're being bad. We're breaking the rules. So, yeah. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.